$5 for a voiceover job, $10 for a voiceover job. Is that it? How do voice actors earn a living with such low rates? How do you get good money from working in voiceover? That is the question that was sent in and what we're going to be talking about today on the podcast. Welcome back to the Voice Acting 101 podcast. Jason here. This is episode number 41. Before we get started, just a quick reminder, if you're wondering how to get started in voiceover, what exact steps do you need to take? I've got a guide that's going to help you. It breaks down a 5-step plan that you can use to get started in voiceover. That's available for free at voiceacting101.com/get started. Okay, today's question comes from Chris. Chris sent in an email and it says this. He says, I am wondering how people make good money out of voiceover work. I have applied just today for 4 jobs, but they are paying peanuts. And from what I am seeing on Upwork, they all seem to be paying roughly the same amount. At $10 and $15, maybe $20 if one is lucky, you would have to put in a solid day of around 8 hours to earn barely a basic wage, especially after Upwork takes their cut. I realize I have no experience, but the same jobs I am applying for have the same pay rates no matter the experience. Am I missing something here? All right, thanks for the question, Chris. Okay, so Chris is referring to jobs and rates that he's seeing on freelancer websites. These are sites like Fiverr and Upwork, where you can hire people to do all kinds of projects from graphic design and web design, writing. They can work on spreadsheets or video editing. VoiceOver is one of them. And there's many more that you can find on those sites. And they're free to join. Anyone can create a profile. All you have to do is just, make the profile, put up some samples of your work, and then try to start getting work. And these sites get a lot of traffic. So according to online stats that I was checking earlier, in the past month, Upwork got around 46 million visits, and Fiverr had 61 million visits. So with numbers like that, a lot of people are going to these sites and doing some hiring on there. And like I mentioned, it's free to join. If you're a service provider, you can join for free. But Fiverr and Upwork, they aren't doing this for fun. They get paid either by taking a cut of the earnings from each job that comes through, or they're adding on a platform fee to each job. And because of the volume of traffic and the high number of jobs that are being completed through their platform, they're doing really well. They're doing all right. So buyers come to them to buy services, and service providers like voice actors go to them to sell services. So Upwork, Fiverr, any kind of freelancer website is considered the middleman. Now, the problem is that these sites get the traffic by offering low prices. So buyers come there to get something done for a low price, and sellers feel like they need to keep lowering their prices in order to compete. And usually these buyers or clients, they just want something done quickly. So they aren't looking for the absolute best or the perfect fit. Although, not to put it down, it's possible the best are on these sites. But as a client coming to the site, they just want the best that they can get at the lowest price in order to get their project done. And honestly, that's what a lot of us do every day. Anytime we're making a decision, you pretty much want the best of what's available, and you want the one that's within your price range. If you're on the site, you're free to charge whatever you want. But when the clients want the cheapest of the cheap, then it kind of becomes hard to compete. You just have to keep lowering your prices. So in order to have higher rates and still get hired on freelancer sites, it seems that you have to build your trust factor, and you can do that with a solid reputation. So to build that reputation, the way to do it is to get 5-star reviews from completing many jobs that probably paid well below what you really wanted for the job or what the job was actually worth. Now, that's not to say that you can't make it work or that you can't be successful with using freelancer websites. I know people who do it, but I will say that the lower that your rate per job is, the more jobs you have to do in order to make it worth it. So in one sense, you're paying for a good reputation by doing low-paying jobs, and you're hoping that you can prove you're good at what you do and eventually increase your rates so that you make more money without having to do all those jobs. So if this is where you're looking for voiceover work, then that is what you're going to have to deal with. But if you want higher paying jobs, then you need to go to where the higher paying clients are. So a lot of clients and a lot of service providers, they just find platforms like that, like Fiverr and Upwork and others, kind of a struggle to navigate, and it just complicates things because, again, they are the middleman. So what I prefer when it comes to getting work is kind of a mixture of different ways to get work. But one part, and probably the most important part of it, is direct marketing. That just means that you're working with the client directly. There's no middleman. You have a real relationship with the client. So they know you, they can call you, you get to email them. It's a normal working relationship. It's not a relationship that's hidden behind a third-party platform, and you don't have to work under someone else's terms and conditions. But most importantly, because you have that direct relationship with the client, they're going to come back again and again when they need another voiceover. Now, another option is to join online casting sites or pay-to-play websites, as they're called. You have to pay a yearly fee to get access to the job postings, but they usually have higher standards when it comes to voiceover rates. And these are sites like Voices, Voice123, Bidalgo, there's other ones out there. The competition on these sites is fierce, so you have to be your best. And they aren't perfect by any means, any of these pay-to-play websites. They all have issues. But the quality of the client that they attract tends to be higher. And that client tends to know exactly what they want. They want to work with a professional, and they're willing to pay more for it. So, that just gives them that peace of mind. If they're paying more for it, they think it's going to be done right. So as a comparison, Chris mentioned the $5 and the $10 and the $15, whatever, $20 jobs. Looking at a couple pay-to-play sites right now, I'm seeing jobs with budgets of $2,000 for 255 words. There's one for $2,500 for 450 words. And there's another one for $5,000 for 1,500 words. So the jobs and the budgets, they're going to vary based on the client and the project. But for me, I'd rather compete for a chance at a $5,000 job than spend that time doing a $5 job. And that's a decision that you have to make. How do you want to spend your time? How is your time best used? So to answer Chris's question, how do you make good money from voiceover? The answer is that if you want the higher paying voiceover jobs, you have to find and work with the clients who are willing to pay more. And that comes down to where and how you get voiceover work. Some clients are going to be satisfied with a $5 voiceover. It's all they want. It's all they need, all they care about. While others are going to feel like they get what they pay for, and they're going to want to pay more to increase the value. So my advice would be to go out, find the clients that can afford you and who are willing to pay you what you want to be paid. Also, something to note from what Chris mentioned earlier in his email, he said, I realize I have no experience, but the same jobs I am applying for have the same pay rates no matter the experience. And that's a good point to bring out and to point out. The rate doesn't vary based on your experience. Charging less for something is just what you feel like you might need to do to have a better chance at getting the job or to get that experience. But for higher end clients, the price rarely plays as much of an influence on the hiring decision as what you think it might. They just want the right voice for their project, and hopefully that voice is yours. I'm going to leave a link to the Voice Acting 101 Voiceover Rates Guide below so you can check that out. I hope this has helped you. That's it for this episode. If you have a question, make sure that you send it in. It's at voiceacting101.com/ask. That's where you can go and upload your own audio question. I would love to hear it on the podcast. Also, what's your experience with freelancer websites? Have you tried them? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Let me know in the comments below. I'll talk with you next time. Have a great week. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode of the podcast. If you want to see another video, there's one waiting for you right here, or you can subscribe to the YouTube channel down in the corner. Or if you want to learn the 5 steps to becoming a voice actor, check out this free guide. It's available to download from voiceacting101.com/get started. All right, that's it. I'll talk to you next time. See ya.